How you doing, boys and girls? Peter Birch here. It's another week. It's another Wednesday lunchtime live. For those that haven't seen these before, each week we go live across all of the social medias, all of them, everyone that exists that allows you to do social media things. So we're across Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. Most people on LinkedIn though. So let us know if you're watching live. Drop a message in whatever platform you are in, and we'll see it on this end. We're hoping that there's like a double inception of logos going on there. Check that out. So yeah, it's live. It's also recorded for people who want to check it out afterwards. Perhaps they're busy during the day, not able to get a lunch break. We're heading to the end of the year. It's a good reminder to start to slow down, but I don't think anyone's slowing down. We're going full ball. So drop us a message in the chat. Let us know what you're up to. Usually I'm joined by Aidan Cousins, our community manager. He's got a hectic schedule leading into the end of the year, and it just so happens that it clashed with this time. We like to keep it at the same time, though, so it is just me on this side. However, I do have a guest with me, and we'll bring him on now. Give me a sec. It's none other than our friend Craig Simmonds from Propell. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, Pete. Great to be here again.
Great to have you. Great to have you. So familiar face for many, I am sure, or maybe not, but depends. Depends who's checking it out. But recently been on the podcast as well. People can go back and check that out. But maybe for those that don't know you, and by the way, we're going to check out some of that. This is why I'm excited about doing this one live, because you've got things that we can look at.
Got toys to play with today.
Yes. Yep. But before then, just set the scene. Tell us who's this Craig guy and what are you doing?
All right. So my company Propell is the Australian distributor of iHealth, and iHealth is the global leader in mobile consumer health devices. So we help people monitor their chronic disease better than ever before, and we do that by linking it to the magic of the mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we and what we're going to do today, Pete, is we're going to go through the devices, which are pulse oximeters and thermometers and blood pressure monitors and weight and diabetes, and not just show you how a normal device works, but where we use that data, which is what you're all about, and how we use that data to keep people at home and keep them out of hospital.
Love it. Fantastic. Great platform to do it on too. So looking forward to going through all that. Just a reminder for anyone checking it out, drop a message in the chat. We can see that here, and if you got questions about the solutions or anything in general, because, remote, this is the time to do it, right? Remote monitoring ties in with telehealth. There's no, one thing just to do telehealth and have a video call, but there's so much more that needs to be done, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm going to take your lead, and actually I might just have to drop. I'm going to switch our cameras around for 1 second so that you can be the bigger one. Give me 1 second. So we'll go like this, like that. Hey. And then I don't know whether that helped or not. Let's have a look. Oh, it still made me the big one. Hang on a tick.
There we go.
No, see but I have to drop off. That's a shame. But anyway, look, we'll put you like this, and then we've at least got the both of us there, and people can still see you. So, that's the case there. Or are you all right just to run through by yourself? If I've got questions, I can jump back on. All right.
Yeah. Let's go.
Excellent. I'm going to throw over to you. You take the lead, because I know you've done this once or twice before. So over to you, Craig, to show us what you got.
Okay. So devices have been around for ever and a day. But the problem with monitoring devices is you write it down on a piece of paper. That's been the old way of doing it. That's actually a bad way of doing it, because a clinician wants to see a trend. Chronic disease is all about a trend. And the problem with all the other devices that have been on the market for such a long time is that you write it down. So what? Hospitals can't see people's readings at home. They want to see, when someone's at home, what their blood pressure is or their oxygen saturation. And for years and years and years, we've always had that problem. And good old COVID has come along and turned everything upside down and gone, oh my God, we can't keep people in a hospital. There are no beds in a hospital. Why can't we keep them at home and monitor them at home? And that's where iHealth has come along. And iHealth is about making sure that people can be at home, and a clinician, nurse, a doctor, whoever it might be, can see their vital signs at the hospital. Patients at home, consumers at home, and the vital signs are being seen by the hospital. So you don't have to have nurses go out to visit people's home all the time just to do vital signs. I was at Central Gippsland Health this week out of Gippsland. They are using all of our devices for their hospital in the home program, for their remote patient monitoring program, and just to get people monitoring their vital signs much better. So let me take you through the devices and show you how simple it is to work.
Fantastic. Loving it.
Right.
Love this setup, by the way. Love this setup.
Pete. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It just it highlights everything, and I mean, eventually this will be just a wall of devices, because there's whilst in the device space, there's not a lot of change, but when it does happen, it's a big change. And iHealth, because we were the first company in the world to produce a wireless blood pressure monitor that linked to Apple, and then that was 10 years ago. Now, whilst there's really only about 10 devices that I do, but we bring out about 2 devices every year. If we bring out a device, and I'm going to show you some new devices, it's a game changer. So that's what's really exciting about this space. When a new device comes out, it revolutionized the way that we do monitoring.
Amazing. I'm going to make my screen small and you can take over.
All right. This device, the pulse oximeter, that has been the most important device. For so long, I've been talking about pulse oximeter as being probably the most important device out of all the things that I've got here, because it measures oxygen saturation. Now, for COVID, it's a respiratory disease. Oxygen saturation is the #1 way that we can monitor a patient and see if they're deteriorating. So this device, it looks good. I mean, what we want to do with iHealth is, because we come out of Apple, we've got to look good. And appearance is actually really important, because one of the challenges is if you've got really daggy devices that don't make it easy for the patient, they won't use it. We know patient adherence is really important. So you can see all of the devices I have, and you can see the packaging that we've got. It looks smart. It looks clinical, but really modern and fresh, just like Apple. By the way, we link to Android as well, but our heritage is out of Apple. Pulse oximeter, easiest device to use. Stick it on your finger, press the button, and let's make sure I'm got good oxygen levels. I'm 99%. That's really good. So there I am. So the magic number with oxygen saturation is 95%. If I'm under that, then I don't have as much oxygen going through my blood, and that's cause for concern. Some hospitals, we were working with Southwest Sydney LHD for COVID, and we still very much doing that. We were getting down to 94, 95%, and if the patient got to that level, they'd call an ambulance. So I'm going to show you where we go with this device. So there's the reading, but then we link it to our phone. So free app. So we use the iHealth app, and just make sure which one it is. And I'm going to show you what that then does. This will then link it through. Here we go. So that's giving you a live feed, straight from there to there. When I take it off my finger, it's recorded. Okay, so no writing down. And then that will then give me all my readings. So what happens, and this is with all of our devices, when people are monitoring themselves at home, when they go see the doctor, they take their phone with them. Everyone's got a phone now. They show them the list. So the clinician or the doctor can really see what the trends are. It's all about the trends. If they want to share that, they can share that information. They can email it straight to the clinician, to the doctor. So pulse oximeter, there's actually a tender out at the moment that the government put out for a national stockpile of pulse oximeters. Hopefully I'll be in that mix, but this is such a critical point for every single healthcare organization to have oxygen saturation monitoring, and a pulse oximeter is the way to go. That's that one.
Really cool. Really cool. I love that live feed too, straight onto the phone.
Live feed. That's what we want. And the other part of this, and this is, Pete, I'm sure this is coming up in the conversations you're having with a lot of the organizations, is interoperability. Where does the data go from the devices? And you can't just have it in isolation. So we go to the iHealth app, which is great, but where else could it go? So Sydney LHD uses Alcidion as their virtual care monitoring platform. Our data from iHealth goes into Alcidion. So rather than Sydney LHD having multiple monitoring platforms, they want one.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've done is, and they've been using iHealth for a number of years, the data goes from our iHealth devices, from that pulse oximeter, straight into the Alcidion platform. So the hospital is viewing one platform. They don't want to have multiple platforms. And that's really key. Interoperability is probably the number one word I use now all the time. It's about the data is really important, but where does it go? And whether it's Alcidion or MediRecords or Personify Care, that's what's really important.
Very cool. It's good that you've done that work. Yeah.
So so integrating into people's platforms is really key. And that's a big part. And that's one of the differences with iHealth, is because it's about the data and how do you want to take the data. And we can either use APIs or SDKs, or we use a data aggregator like Persona Informatics, which standardizes all the data and makes it so much easier, so you can put into someone's platform regardless of whatever devices they're using. So that's really key. Okay, and it's becoming even more important than ever before. Let's stick with the COVID side, because it's what everyone's talking about at the moment. And the other device that's really important is a thermometer. Now, we've got two thermometers. They both look the same. In fact, they are exactly the same. One is a non-connected device. One is a connected device. So the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne and a lot of other hospitals, they just use our non-connected device. They put it against your forehead. I'm 37 degrees. That's good. And then if I want to, I can send it straight through to my phone. I can sync it to my phone. So these devices, you can see that they're a smart-looking thermometer. In fact, the iHealth thermometer is the number one selling thermometer in Amazon America. It's the biggest selling thermometer. So temperature thermometers and pulse oximeters, really important and connected.
I like your confidence of doing your vitals during a live thing too.
Well, I'm about to do my blood pressure, Pete, and I can tell you, it's been a good morning, but I'm going to show you probably a high reading, and I had it really elevated. So occasionally I do my blood pressure and I go, good, I'm good, but that would mean I'm calm, and that's probably rare at the
Nothing
moment.
like, I don't think we've done a blood pressure reading on a live stream. So.
Well, we are about to do one. So let's get straight into it. All right. We've done oxygen saturation. We've done temperature. Right. The big area, take COVID out of the picture. Chronic heart failure is what every hospital talks about. Everyone. So chronic heart failure is blood pressure, oxygen saturation, and weight. So you need devices to monitor vital signs. There are lots of platforms out there and lots of systems, which are great, and that's all software. That's all very lovely. But you need to monitor someone's blood pressure. On a telehealth consult, and I'm doing a lot more work with telehealth providers, so like CoView. So when you're doing a telehealth consult, how do you measure someone's blood pressure? You can't say, what's your blood pressure, if they don't have a blood pressure monitor. So what we've done with CoView is the patient has our iHealth blood pressure monitor, and that links into CoView. So the doctor can see someone's blood pressure readings at the same time as they're having the telehealth consult. You've got to have them working together, because otherwise there is a disconnect. So let's do some blood pressure. I've got 3 monitors. I've got 2 arm monitors and a wrist monitor. I'm going to show you the latest and greatest one, which I've just came out only a couple of months ago.
Cool.
Right. And this is it. This is an all-in-one blood pressure monitor. Normally we're used to blood pressure monitors. We've got tubes everywhere, right? Remember, we always go back to how do we make it as easy for the patient as possible. So it's time to do my blood pressure, Pete.
Oh, this is my favorite part of the day.
That's right.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so while you're putting that on, this is all whilst it's being, you've talked a bit about using it in different local health districts and clinicians on the clinicians. They're all, but you mentioned they're also available like Amazon and things like that as well.
Yeah. So pharmacies sell them. I sell them online. It's sold on eBay. They're consumer devices, and that's the change of what's happened in the healthcare world. Is hospitals have gone from, and aged care have gone, and even medical clinics have gone from big expensive units, $8,000 a tit, to $100 monitor. That's the change, because they're going, what it means is we can scale up health. And I mean, health is about mass volume. It's not about, you can have a really fancy device, which is all very lovely, but if you only afford to do it to 5 patients as opposed to 5,000, where's the value-based healthcare? This is value-based healthcare.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
All right.
I'll jump off and let you keep.
Time to do my blood pressure. Right, so no tubes. All right, so what I'm going to do, all I do is I press the start button, which is, there we go, on the other side. All right, and it's inflating. Now, good blood pressure way to do it is I should be sitting down and I shouldn't be talking. So all the things I'm not doing, don't just ignore the way that I'm doing it. But I'm here to show you. A couple of things to know about iHealth. Do you know that only 12% of the world's blood pressure monitors are clinically validated? 12%, meaning 88% of the world's blood pressure monitors are not clinically validated, which potentially means they're inaccurate.
Such a common tool.
Yeah, blood pressure is really, it's, I don't know what, 1 in 4 Australians have high blood pressure. Okay, I'm so glad I'm giving you a nice high reading. You can see that. It's flashing lovely to me, 174/105. How lovely. That is not a good reading. And by rights, I should be the rest.
To be fair, yeah. I mean, you were standing and talking, and we're on a live stream across multiple social media platforms. So, good on you for giving it a go. But no, that seemed really easy. I mean, and it doesn't sound like you need a great deal of technical expertise to do that.
No, and that's the great thing about it. Gosh, I sound as though I'm on a morning TV show selling the product.
Yeah, I just realized that.
I guess that's what I am. We want to really make it easy. And so that can then go to my phone. So remember, we never want to write it down. For so many years, my background is pharmacy. I go into pharmacies, I see them, you sit down, they write on a piece of paper. And what does someone do with a piece of paper? They chuck it out. Do you ever go back to a doctor with a piece of paper? No. And I ask that question to GPs all the time. No one ever sees a piece of paper. You want to see a trend, okay? You really want to do your blood pressure in the morning before you've had any stimulants like coffee. You're calm. If you do it in the afternoon like now, you're going to get a higher reading. So we want to do blood pressure at a consistent time every day so we can really see what the trends are. So I want to send that from there to here, right? And all I do is I just press the memory button on the device. And what that will then do is it'll come through to my phone, and because it's a bit challenging at doing this way, but when I click through, that will come through to here, and I'll just quickly show you. It'll graph it, and all the readings, I can do a graph like that, and I can show my history. So that's what a doctor wants to see. They don't want to see a piece of paper. So then what they can do is they can change their medication accordingly. Okay. We want to make people better. And you can only do that by seeing a trend of someone's blood pressure.
Yeah.
So that's
so we've seen the pulse oximeter, thermometer, and blood pressure. So that would be the big two. Oh, you mentioned weight as well, yeah?
Yep. We've got some scales. I'm not going to measure myself, but I do remember many years ago when I first brought iHealth out, and I was doing a demonstration to a pharmacy buyer, and it was a female, and I knew her, and I asked her to get on the scales, and she said to me, "Craig, never get a lady to stand on scales." And I learnt my lesson very clearly. So So, look, the scales are really important because we know that it'll affect with fluid levels, that affects weight, and that's really important for a number of conditions that clinicians need to monitor. And look, we know that a large proportion of the population is overweight. If you can't measure, you can't monitor. And COVID's an example for a lot of us. I'm sure we've put a lot of weight on and over COVID. And being from Melbourne, I've been in lockdown for the last 2 years, and I did put on weight, but I use these scales, and the scales were kept on showing that my weight was increasing because I was seeing on the trend. I could see the line going up. So, yeah, in the last 2 months, I've made a conscious decision to do more exercise. Drink the same, but certainly do more exercise.
Well, I think like just generally having that data and there's more an increased drive for more and more people to be able to take more control of their own health information. And I feel like that connection with the healthcare system is remarkably important. But even at the same time, there'd be a big interest, no doubt, from people just wanting to be able to monitor things reliably from home, because there's a lot of rubbish out there as well. That's the hard thing, is you get remarketed on social media to buy things that say they do this, but they don't.
And I think that's a challenge. And I think, I get approached by lots of different companies with lots of different brands. And I did a lot of research before I got involved with iHealth, and I'm still very comfortable that, this is the brand that has got the clinical validation behind it. They're really careful of, we don't put stuff out for the sake of putting it. It's got to have a place. It's got to make a difference to someone's lives, which is the basis of my business, Propell. That's what it's got to do. And time again, we prove that, which makes it worthwhile.
Love it. Yep. That's amazing. Look, and for people that wanted to check out more information, you mentioned they're available online as well.
Yeah. Yep. You can get it on ihealthlabs.com.au. That's my own website. Or better yet, let's have a conversation together and work out, what is it that you're wanting, and we can go from there.
Amazing. Well, if anyone's got any questions or comments, they can drop them in the chat if you're watching live, but I know many people do watch these afterwards as well. So that's what we've got there. I'm going to get rid of you for a second, bring you back, because I think you just had multiple versions of you come up for some reason. I'm going to kick that one there. There we go. That's better. I can unmute you again. There you go, Craig. There we go. Right. Excellent. And you know what I quite like? Then you had like no technical issues whatsoever in demonstrating devices on phones. From my own personal experience of demonstrating software or devices, there's always the demo gods that play a part. But you did remarkably well in that one, particularly for a live thing too. So, but look, what have you got planned? So just to close out, then, what have you got planned for next year? Busy year ahead. This has been a busy year, no doubt, for you. Planning for another busy one next year.
There is. I'm really excited by our next device, which I'll show you.
Cool.
Which is because there's always something happening. This is our new ambulatory blood pressure monitor, and so it's actually the same as our normal blood pressure, but this is 24-hour monitoring. And there's, just as of the 1st of November, there's now an MBS number for ambulatory blood pressure monitoring, which makes it even more attractive. So the problem with ambulatory blood pressure monitors is they got cords going everywhere. So when you wear it for 24 hours, it's uncomfortable for the patient. Not anymore. And it's also about the data. So this is about, where does the data go? It goes into an app, and then that data can then be exported into someone's PMS. So from a patient experience, it's so much easier. For the clinicians, that's a really a better way of doing ambulatory blood pressure monitoring and getting much clearer information.
Very cool. Look, Craig, I really appreciate you taking us through. I know when we did the podcast recording, we said we needed to jump on and do this so we can see them, at least on video. I look forward to going back to trade show life and seeing you on a stand, because no doubt you've got those lined up next year too.
Absolutely. Yes, I will be.
Yes, amazing. I look forward to coming by and checking it out. And we'll keep connecting in the THT Plus community as well. And got lots of things planned for next year as well. So, Craig, I really appreciate you making the time and taking us through everything. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pete. Cheers.
Catch
Bye.
you later.